Hi everybody in IGEM. My name is Nabila and welcome to KLEFF, the Modern Lens of Filmmakers. The Modern Lens of Filmmakers is a talk show program by Eco-Knights, produced by KLEFF in collaboration with KnightWatch Media, where we talk about the perception of our filmmakers and non-conventional filmmakers based on their roles in environmental conservation. So a little bit introduction to KLEFF before I introduce to you our three guests who will be joining me for this podcast session. KLEFF is Malaysia's first and longest serving platform promoting sustainable living through showcases of environmental themed audio visuals such as films and different kinds of film programs. So since 2008, our mission is to accelerate mainstreaming of sustainable living and stewardship of the environment through the power of films, storytelling, and different kinds of community activities. Now, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, back then we used to be a physical film festival, but now we've become a digital film festival instead, and we now screen our films through our online or digital screening platform called KLEFF. So entering its second time as a digital film festival, the Kuala Lumpur Film Fest believes that films can be screened beyond limits via our KLEFF, and we've chosen 94 films this year to be screened via KLEFF. So other than films that tell spectacular stories about under the festival's theme, climate change yourself, the festival will also screen films that focus on socio-economic topics. Whether it's from community empowerment all the way up to sustainable living or urban environment, as well as health, wellness, because now in sustainability it's not just about environment. We have social and economy being related to environment. So these are the three pillars of sustainability that will be showcased in Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Fest, aka KLEFF, via the films that we've chosen, 94 of them. And a film festival would not be a film festival without the bunch of very wonderful and inspiring filmmakers who tell the stories of various topics through their lenses. And now, joining with us today, we have three guests whom I know since quite a few years ago or many years ago. They are Justin Wong, Andrew Han, as well as Evelyn. So everybody please give them a warm welcome and a round of applause. So I'm going to clap my hands. Virtually it's going to be like this now. All right, hi everyone. Welcome to our KLEFF podcast with KnightWatch Media. How are you guys feeling so far?
Good.
Good,
Hi,
okay.
Nabila. So far so good.
And thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for coming over as well. Not to say virtually coming over and joining me for this podcast. Okay, so I'm going to just give a little bit of brief introduction about three of you, and we'll start with Justin. So actually, I knew Justin since 2017 or 2018. After Anugerah Hijau, and then there's more involvement with KLEFF as well. So Justin, he hails from Kuala Lumpur. He is a producer, cinematographer, and also co-founder of SEM Asia, and has produced numerous documentaries such as City Wetlands, Natural Jewel, and this year, his documentary series called Discovery Langkawi with Irshad Mubarak will be screened in KLEFF 2021. So for those who are interested to watch films, please feel free and join us to watch Justin's documentary series. It's very nice. I think about 10 episodes in there, very extensive. And actually, Justin has been, long involved with Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Fest. He won the Best Short Film back in KLEFF 2019. As well as Special Merit Award in 2018, and last year he was part of our panel jury. This year cannot lah because he submitted his films to us, so he's out of the picture for a while for this year. And also, I think Justin is also a finalist at VAASA International Wildlife Film Festival in 2018 in Finland. That's really really a great achievement. And I think one thing I always remember about Justin is VR. So he's the one who introduced us in KLEFF to virtual reality films. I'll leave it to him to talk more about VR. To me, he's always the Sifu of VR lah. Okay, next up will be Andrew. Andrew, our relationship start way back in probably I think 2016 during my final year in USM, and got to know Andrew when he contacted me and asked about some interviews with the fishermen in Penang. And that time I was also doing my FYP or final year project in Penang as well, related to fishermen. So that's how I got to know about Andrew, and also that he is an independent documentary filmmaker all the way from Penang. And from there, I have also observed and seen how Andrew really expands and uses his power in filmmaking to inspire a lot of people, especially the local communities in Penang. So Andrew has various educational background and have produced many artworks such as The Hills and the Sea, which was screened in 2018 for KLEFF, also received the Special Merit Award, and Doa Seorang Nelayan. He used to teach at Pelita International School in Penang and Taylor's College, but now he's doing a full-time activism with one of them, I think the NGO is called Jaringan Ekologi dan Iklim, and movements such as Penang Tolak Tambak. You can also check on Facebook, Penang Tolak Tambak, really good community action going on over there. And then now we go down to Evelyn. So Evelyn is actually related to Andrew because they're both husband and wives. And I also got to know Evelyn through Andrew, and I've never told them this before, but I personally admire both of them, especially how they work together in advocating for environmental and sustainability issues. To me, they are actually a power couple, so you may want to check them out. Evelyn, what my team can find from her website is actually she's a policy analyst, a writer, photographer, and she graduated from a lot of universities here: UMT, University Malaya, London School of Economics and Political Science in various courses. Currently, she is a researcher on environmental and urban policies. So that explains, I mean, if you check out Evelyn, you may have seen her in some talks as well. You would see how extensive her knowledge is when she has the opportunity to share on various public platforms. Evelyn is an avid fan of video essays made about popular films, which are unpacked and analyzed with a critical lens. For example, how the philosophy of Stoicism on choice and ethics are found in films like the Shawshank Redemption. And I think this is also a really huge achievement for Evelyn. She recently won the Freedom Film Fest grant for her film Grayscale, which looks at urban inequality. So Evelyn, you want to take the opportunity to promote Grayscale, please by all means do so. I didn't have the opportunity to watch it, but when I read it from Freedom Film Fest, I was like, wow, we should have more films like this. We should have more films. Okay, and then finally, go down to myself. My name is Nabila Shoimi. I am the KLEFF Film Manager, and I'll be your host for today's podcast for the modern lens of filmmakers. But I'm going to be more of a Padawan, learning from these inspiring Sifus on their journey in filmmaking and sustainability. So now I'm done with the formal introduction of all of our three lovely guests. Maybe we can go into a little bit of a casual mood. Perhaps, why don't three of you share some interesting facts about yourself or, your journey in filmmaking? Really brief facts, yeah? Let's start with, I wish I have that wheel of fortune, then I can sort of spin it. But let's go with Andrew.
Interesting fact. My first paycheck as a teacher, I bought my first camcorder, which is a Canon HFM 300. The only reason I bought that is because it has a audio input, that's all, and I use that to record and still have it, even though it has some problem already, but that is something that have been used to create lots and lots of content. Yeah.
This sound like a tip for filmmakers, good investment. Okay, thanks, Andrew. All right, Evelyn, how about you?
Well, I'm not really a full-fledged filmmaker. I'm just still dabbling and learning a lot. How I got involved is basically tagging along with Andrew, by holding the mic, being his person to watch behind his back when he's like taking a step backward, that sort of thing. So it's basically just shadowing him and seeing how storytelling. I mean, we're both on the learning curve at that time, but he's definitely more advanced than I am. So getting the grant, which you said earlier, Freedom Film Fest, was really a big milestone that I do not expect to get at all. And it's good that you haven't really seen it yet because it has not been ready yet.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be ready in 2022. So thank you for
yes.
mentioning that.
Great, cool. Thanks a lot. And congratulations for winning the grant. So I'm looking forward to Grayscale. Send over to KLEFF 2022. Okay, but that's another, I think Evelyn shared another tip also, networking, because she's been helping Andrew a lot. So for filmmakers, you got to, go down to the field lah. All right, great. Lastly, Justin, interesting fact about yourself.
Interesting fact about myself. I left a corporate job many years back, and then right after graduation, I'm film trained actually. Was in the university assisting marketing, and one day I just realized that I have to. I believe in the impact of video storytelling basically, and then my first project is a project with NGO, and it's to do with natural wildlife history. So, and until now, I think about 11 years later, we are still producing it. We're still making wildlife nature films. Yeah.
Wow, follow your passion. That's the keyword. I think all four of us can sort of resonate on that as well. Follow our passions. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing all the interesting facts about yourselves. Now we go to the first segment, and it's gonna be about what constitutes a firm in the modern world and how does it advocate for sustainable living. All right, so in this segment, we're just going to talk about more of your personal experience by using filmmaking to advocate for pressing issues in different sustainability issues. And we are going to, let's have a look at the questions over here. I've got more than a couple of questions. And I'm just going to randomly ask any one of you for this segment. So the first question, okay. There has always been a certain stereotype in the filmmaking industry whereby the most impactful films are the ones that either they won awards or, they have very good marketing campaigns and they're being marketed well, and also they become like blockbuster films or blockbuster movies in various channels. Yet the impact is very subjective according to the audience, according to the filmmakers. And it's quite difficult to sort of measure, the impact. However, as filmmakers who showcase current affairs in sustainability, especially going down to the localized context, how do you actually measure the impact you have created via filmmaking, your experience in filmmaking, and also films you produce or you get inspiration from? Perhaps we can start with Justin this time.
Yeah. Measuring impact. I personally think audience engagement it's very important to me. Yeah. Throughout the years, I saw that nature films has the awareness and also appreciation on nature history films has increased. I think this is because the new way of storytelling, the new way of cinematography has brought audience closer to the subject matter, like using cutting edge technology like drones, gimbals, right, and etc. I'm much more like a technical person, right? So, for us, we will always constantly update ourselves on current trends, audience appetite, because end of the day, what matters is actually our film to get across, our message to get across to the audience. Yeah, so the producing a very engaging content is important for us. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Audience engagement, I think, a very important component to be considered in filmmaking. All right. How about Andrew? What about you?
Same. I think what Justin has spoken. I think every filmmaker, every content creator would like to see some impact on audience engagement, like whether you grow in numbers or numbers of conversation going on as well through your film. But particularly from NGO point of view, also they see the social impact as in how it may be the film can be used to push for. I think later Evelyn can mention a little bit about how it influenced policy and so on. But I personally see it with myself how the impact it has on society or community, where they are being encouraged, when we make a film about them, or they become so semangat. They want to be, I want to do some more, you know what I mean? So this is the same case when we did the Hills and the Seas, or they want to do that. And then when I did for other NGOs as well, they kind of use the content for grant applications, and I think there is some impact in that. How films can make about their issues, and their organizations can be used to grow even further. And when I see that happen, I'm kind of happy, like, there are some uses. This is just not an entertainment purpose only, but can be used for many other impact also. Yeah,
that's right. Education, community action, which I really see it's being demonstrated by the communities in Penang. It's just very inspiring also to see how it happens. Okay, and how about Evelyn?
As for me, I think in terms of measuring impact, I agree with the two what Justin and Andrew has said before me. But I also want to add to the fact that prior to COVID, we have film festivals, and that's when you get the tangible sense of impact directly after you show your film. Then you stay behind, and the director will speak to the audience, and the audience start asking questions. So that's the most direct gauge of impact that you get. And the fact that people will come up to you and say how they are inspired by the story, how they wouldn't have known this story if not because of the film. And I think these are the little feedbacks that empowers the directors and the filmmakers back to do more of these kind of stories. But also at the same time, it creates network of people. You never know who represents NGO or any public organizations that are there that may want to get in touch with you. So it is a step to a ripple effect of impact that may go far. And if you just have to follow up actively and engage with people, and also such materials, like Andrew said, is being used beyond the film itself. Like they use it as grants, and some people use it as training material to understand the current issues on the ground.
All right, great, nice sharing, Evelyn. I do agree with you about the difference I can see between festivals prior to COVID and after. When during COVID, it's quite very different. I do remember back then in KLEFF, filmmakers and like Andrew, Justin came over for the award ceremony. They watched some films. They also got the opportunity to network with audience as well and different kinds of stakeholders. It's just a very wonderful, it's like a wonderful impact hub actually. So that's also how another way we measure the impacts. So I'm really thankful that you mentioned this point also. Okay, great. Let's move on to the second question, which is it's pretty simple, very straightforward. So throughout your experience in filmmaking, what has been the hardest aspect of your journey in filmmaking? Any challenges that you face, and things, whether it gives you what kind of key lessons does it give you? So perhaps maybe we can start with, I think this time let's go with Evelyn.
I'm the least filmmaker among the three of us.
include the ones where you had to help Andrew in making all his films.
I think if I could speak on a very personal capacity, filmmaking requires a huge amount of patience from a very personal capacity. Patience in terms of the timing may not go as you want it to be. The people that you meet may not be there. People you interview may not say what they need to say to make a compelling story. You may not have access to places that you need to shoot. And there are also aspects of funding and timing. So, I mean, I think every filmmaker faces this issue as well. And I'm just like seeing what Andrew goes through and just sharing that kind of burden with him. But it's not something that is impossible to overcome. It just takes experience to find a work around it. And yeah, you get better as time goes, but those challenges are not unsurmountable.
Okay. And if I can ask a bit more, Evelyn, like how does the pandemic affect your journey for Grayscale?
Well, we're supposed to start filming even back in June. As you know, we have various phases of MCO upon us. We have lost touch of all the SOPs, but as far as we know, filming has always been not allowed, whether indoor or outdoor, and that is a very big blow to the filmmaking industry. Especially when you think about it, people are stuck at home. They want new things to watch, right? And then you cripple the filmmaking industry without anything new to produce. And yeah, it really affects the timeline, the schedule, the deliverables, and of course, funders and film festivals are understanding of the issues that we're facing. But like for gray area, the story is about a life of an aging person in the town. So you'd expect that you can follow the person's daily activity to tell a more authentic story, but you're also at the mercy of the SOPs, and also afraid that you might contract COVID and inadvertently infect the person. So there's a lot of issues and concerns.
Yeah, that's right. I wish you all the best, and hopefully keep our fingers crossed. Completion in 2022.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Justin.
Hardest aspect of my career, is it?
Yeah. Hardest challenges.
Challenges. Maybe I can share one of my first film that I submitted for KLEFF in 2013. Our journey.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was still USM. Oh my goodness.
Well, this is I will never forget that journey, because it's a topic that I myself not clear. You see, I wanted to pick a topic, right, to for the competition, for the festival, and my environmental friends. Oh, what's the course called? There is basically it's environmental science students told me, why not you check out carbon footprint? That's my first time I heard of carbon footprint, right? Then I research and start to meet stakeholders. Like, basically there's no mentor teaches how to approach, but we gladly have mentors to teach us how to produce films, right? So yeah, I knock a lot of doors, asking a lot of different stakeholders, companies that related in this industry. At the same time, NGOs, So yeah, the finding the information could be my first challenge, because it can be a very controversial subject as well. So yeah, meeting. That's why it's not that terrible for me. I don't have a bad experience in challenges in terms of finding accessibility and stuff like that. So far, meeting expectation from both parties is what I learned throughout the career here, is to meet both to explain the expectation, what we are producing for both sides. At the same time, this will allow us to have collaboration. Yeah. Make it very transparent. At the same time, this is what we're going to talk about. It's a point of view of a filmmaker. Yeah, and so far so good.
Right. I think that's a good point that you also mentioned. Doing enough research, and I think to manage expectations here and there. Because when you produce films, actually it's from the start of film production all the way to when you want to screen film, you also have to think who you're screening. That's why Andrew also was like, is it it's going to be controversial or anything? So Andrew is also, I can see that Andrew is also thinking about the people, how to manage expectations. So let's move on to Andrew. A challenge in your filmmaking journey.
I think everybody can relate the challenges, especially we talk about issues like environmental issues, and you had to mention names, you had to point fingers at other people. It can't be that, or else it won't be an impactful video. It will be just a CSR and so on, right? So I think one of the hardest as a filmmaker, people tend to politicize the filmmaker, why the person did that film is because he's from this political party and things like that. And it's quite damaging, especially when we are trying to be neutral or trying to advocate certain issues, and then people will cyber troop you and accuse you with very bad things in relation to that. And I think the worst part is sometimes they will use your person that you are interviewing, that your protagonist, to impact, to negatively portray him and relate to the person, and then you feel bad as a filmmaker because you're the one who put him into that story, and now she's receiving or she's receiving that attack, and people don't want to be involved anymore, and that mental trauma that person have make you think twice as a filmmaker. Am I doing good or doing even more bad things in this as well? Besides that, that kind of like for example, my films. There at one time that we would do a screening in Penang, and then we got a message says that there's some authorities say you cannot, you had to pull out this filming, or they're going to pull out the funding and so on, and the kind of challenges you face every time you are doing this kind of project lah. But thankfully there are a lot of supportive people, which I think is good lah. I'm gonna stop from there. Yeah.
I was about to prompt you go on and do.
Names what?
Names. Let's do another round. This time in our own KLEFF platform. That time I will show everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's I think I can see also in a few films they have the same challenges or dilemmas. We have seen films that the production team had to stop and halt everything, which is a shame. And I think these are challenges that aspiring filmmakers or whoever who want to be involved in environmental aspect, even human rights also, they have to know these are the challenges that they will face. Okay,
right.
so
like for example, some of my films, people tell me, there are actually police in the film festival watching your film now. I think what kind of intimidation is that, isn't it? Like why do you want to say that? I don't care whether you're police or CIA or whatever.
Yeah, I think you should feel privileged. Police also watching. Good, giving them a good message over there. Okay, so we've got two more questions, and we've got about 7 minutes to go with this segment. So I'm going to ask maybe two more questions. Each question will have two of you answering. So the third question is, in Malaysia, the filmmaking scene, especially in sustainability field, is not as prevalent as those in other countries. In Europe, America, you can see there's a lot of production going on regarding sustainability, environment. Climate change is the next one. It's a hit now. But in Malaysia, it's still a bit low, right? What actually inspired you all to produce such content even with the challenges that you guys mentioned just now? So let's continue on with Andrew. Yeah, what inspired you to create your content? Yeah.
I guess to a certain extent, the whole narrative from the Asia Pacific on the issue of environment and climate is very limited, very little. Our exposure to environmental and climate film is always been narrated by the West, like people like Leonardo DiCaprio Al Gore and many more. Right now, Michael Moore also jumped into it, which I feel is so Western. It's such a Western perspective in all this matter. In fact, you want to go more critical into it, a lot of problem comes from the West itself, right? So I think for us as a Malaysian filmmaker and also from the Asian region, should make films like this to speak from our side rather than be dictated by the Western narrative law. So that's why I think we should, and I feel very motivated to make more content from our perspective lah.
All right, great. Localized content, yes. Okay, how about let's go on with Justin?
Yeah, same here. I totally support what Andrew was mentioning. I personally I appreciate a lot of natural history content by BBC. Yeah, I really like the way how they portray, how they put the context into storytelling, and also opens up our mind in natural wonders, right? So but most of the time, BBC they recycle a lot on the subject matter. It's like you watch back 10 years ago and you will still see the same wildlife or the same natural history topic. And in Malaysia, we have a lot of story to tell, a lot. So so what I'm looking at now is to produce more local stories here, more local stories for the people around the world. Yeah.
All right. Great. That's good. That's great. Yeah, local content. We need more local content in KLEFF. So, but I think I've seen a lot of great content also in other film festivals. Really, really inspiring, especially in terms of human rights, community well-being. I think in terms of environment, sustainability, still we are catching up over there. My last question for both Evelyn and also Justin, I think let's have Andrew also. Andrew also very prominent in this question as well. Okay. So what are some of the things that you would like to share with potential filmmakers among our audience? For example, what are the things that you wish people could have told you in the beginning of your journey in filmmaking or in the film industry? Let's go with, can I start with you, Evelyn? Is that right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think on the question of what I wish someone would have told me before I go into the filmmaking journey is to accept the feeling of this imposter syndrome, that you're not good enough to make a film, that what is so interesting about your story that people would watch, and you doubt your own talent and capability, and your self-confidence in approaching the project. So I think that is something that we confront every now and then in anybody in any creative industry. So that's one thing that I have to tell myself constantly. So I identify as a policy researcher foremost, and then to also tell people that I'm dabbling in film, then I do wonder if someone's thinking, am I being fickle-minded? Why am I doing so many things? So you can't be good at like everything that you do. But that's when you rode at your own self-confidence and you hold yourself back in doing a lot of things. So I wish someone would have said that you are going to be confronting a lot of imposter syndrome along your way, but don't let it hold you down.
All right, that's great. We'll keep reminding you not to always give up, Evelyn. Okay. Andrew, something that you wish people could have told you in your first step in filmmaking?
I think it'd be great if last time people did tell me that making documentary filmmaking content takes a very long time and also takes a lot of patience right. So I think I learned along the way. It was shocking at first, the things that you need and also the reading that you need to prepare. Right, and also it can be a very lonely journey, you know what I mean, to do things by yourself sometimes, when especially you don't have enough funding and so on. I guess that is something worth finding out, getting friends who are filmmakers so that they can share with you and do this. I've jumped into this basically because of love for films, love for documentary films, and love of coming up with some content as well. So I thought that it's great for young filmmakers to have more networks, to follow filmmakers in certain projects so they can see the ups and downs. Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks for the tips. I think you should also do you do like behind the scene sections for your filmmaking or anything?
I mean, used to do it, but then again, after that, it requires a lot of reflection, and then you want to move on and so on. Yeah. That's the thing, but there's a great idea to have somebody to document the process. In fact, if you have grants these days, the funders do want you to document your processes as well these days. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Great. Thanks for sharing, Andrew. Justin?
My advice is it?
Advice? Yeah, especially an advice that you wish someone would have just told you earlier already.
I know it's going to be a bit cliche, but I have to say passion is definitely the first criteria for me. Passion, because along the journey, it's going to be bumpy anyway. It's definitely going to be bumpy, uncertainty and things like that. And I feel passion could be one of the key driver to get past that bumpy road. Yeah, so yeah, definitely passion would be first, and then secondly is get like Andrew and Evelyn did mention, network, join more, get inspiration, find inspiration, join more KLEFF activities. Documentary associations and stuff like that. Yeah, this is what keep us going from our side. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so we're done with our first segment. And we'll be back in the second segment after a little short break. So see you guys in the second segment.
This year, the International Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Fest is back for its 14th installment with the theme Climate Change Yourself. KLEFF 2021 has already selected our finalists for this year's festival, and you can join our KLEFF Award ceremony at the International Green Tech and Eco Product Exhibitions and Conference Malaysia IGEM on 29th October 2021. How to watch them? You can go to virtual.igem.my and find 29th October KLEFF 2021 award ceremony and click RSVP. And just like that, you already reserve your place and IGEM will remind you when the date comes. Lastly, for all films and environment enthusiasts, you can show your support by tuning into our online streaming platform KLEFFlix, where we will screen our all selected films scheduled from 24th to 30th of October, ranging from public services announcements, short films, documentaries, and animations. So, tune in and reserve your place on IGEM virtual platform today and watch the hard work film created by the creative filmmakers from all around the world on KLEFFlix. Till then, bye!
Alright, hi folks, we are back to our second segment of podcast, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the support system as well as communication platform available in the world of firms that advocate for sustainability. So we're just going to talk a little bit more about this, and we're going to play a mini game with our guests after this. So to get things started, maybe three of you would like to briefly introduce one of the firms that you have worked on lately, or you're still working on it. Let's go with Justin.
Okay, so one of a famous film that we have produced also made it in a official selection this year. It was titled Discovery Langkawi with Irsyad Mubarak. This film is interesting because we are following a Malaysian naturalist, a conservationist, and also educator. I have to fill up the full context here. Mr. Irsyad, he brought us through the experience of a rich flora and fauna biodiversity in Langkawi. So yeah, do I need to elaborate more longer?
You can't elaborate more because we're going to show it in the KLEFF after this. We'll let
don't give spoiler. Don't give spoiler.
Maybe we'll just explain behind the scene. Basically, we took about approximately 6 months for the principal photography in the island to film migration birds, fig fruiting, mammals, animal behaviors. Yeah.
This is National Geographic.
6 months, huh?
Yeah, because there's a lot of different season there. Different season, it will have the autumn effect as well for the limestone. So we have to get back for the season.
Wow, but 6 months at the island is quite nice, huh?
We're back and forth, yeah. But the amount of days, yeah, we were there about 6 months. Huh? Become islander already.
Okay, Andrew, any film that you would like to share with everyone?
Well, COVID times, right? Nak record what macam mana kan. So stay at home, revisit a lot of B-rolls and all footages yang I tangkap very long time ago, and then try to come up with content. So recently, I realized that I was experimenting something like I wanted to do a documentary, or should I say a short film, based on local dialect, Hokkien, Penang Hokkien. Yeah. So I realized that I like a China murtad like that lah. My Hokkien very bad lah. Especially when I want to translate. Oh my god, there's a lot of words I don't know. So a lot of sitting down using the Penang Hokkien dictionary, going through the words, and after that coming to the script and say it, and then it was wrong because the intonation, you need to get some Penang Hokkien expert to correct my pronunciation and so on. And did it. I did it. Still on the issue of the fishermen in the south, but I narrated in Hokkien, and it has a very positive feedback lah. People started to share because it's refreshing content. So it's Hokkien storytelling, and I see that beginning to open my eyes how some content can work when you use a different storytelling and language altogether. It reaches a whole new group of people, and we realize again one more thing is that a lot of people who are Hokkien speaking community do not know about the issue down there. Do you see how language can make a difference? So it does open up my eyes. Maybe I shouldn't do too many English content, more on Hokkien content. Yeah. KLEFF receive a Hokkien content.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe orang Klang saja no lah Hokkien, Hokkien, some Singaporeans.
But it's good lah. I mean, especially in Malaysia, we're all multicultural. We speak different dialects. It's very important to bridge that gap. So yeah, more looking forward for more Hokkien dialects and other dialects. I think other languages also very important. Tamil, not just English and Malay. We need more. Also a note to my director over there because he also produces videos as well. So I'm just like, take note, Okay. Lastly, Evelyn, how about you?
Yeah, I just want to share again, probably for the third time in this session.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps you might, to make it easier, why should people watch Grayscale?
Thank you. Gray Area came from a very personal story. It's actually a story about my aunt who's living by herself in the town. We used to live together when we were very young, but we moved out. And then that neighborhood also hollowed out over the years. And instead of families, the houses are now occupied by businesses, which closes at night. So the entire street seems like a ghost town, after business hours. So it's not so much of a problem when we could still visit her, but because of COVID-19. So we all talk about, feeling the cabin fever from staying at home a lot. And we complain that there's not enough films on Netflix to watch and things like that. But for the elderly generation, they grapple with loneliness at a very deeper sense and level. And they're also very conscious about their frailty, the risk that they face when they go out and there's no one to talk to. So this film really looks at it from a elderly point of view of how living in an empty city looks like, and how that loneliness becomes even louder in the times of pandemic. So I hope this story will resonate with a lot of people. I hope that people will watch and see it as a story of their elderly parents, or in our future self as well. How is the city designed to include everyone, even as you are growing older, and not just for people who are young and hip, and we just don't want to leave people behind. So that's the whole premise of the story.
Yeah. All right. More on city planning. That's something a lot of people would not look at, especially, city planners, architects, they will look at this, but general public, they might not even think about this aspect. So I think there will be a lot of good points highlighted in the film. All right. Next question is, what are the platforms? This is for Justin as well as Andrew. What are the platforms that you use to showcase your films, and how was the outreach so far? Let's start with Andrew.
platform, I mean, I assume it's like YouTube and things like that, kan?
Yeah,
So,
any kind of platform kalau masuk cinema pun bagus.
Of course, the pre-COVID times, it was the film festival. I love to use that platform to showcase because not only putting in there because the film festival team do promote the film, so I goyang kaki lah, tak payah buat apa-apa kan. And it gets a lot of attention from the media as well, so it's good. But alternatively, for me, if it's a content which is very urgent, YouTube is always the best lah. But I realized one thing, especially with the film I'm doing, kadang-kadang YouTube also is not the best platform. Not many people can access to it. I find out that actually WhatsApp is a better way to share.
Wow.
Like short videos lah, short content, things like that lah. Because like for example, my the nelayan community, things like that, they are not that social media savvy, and they get a lot of content from WhatsApp itself. So sometimes when I create content, upload at YouTube, right, I have to actually render one more, which is a smaller size, and put it on WhatsApp, and it can the magic of it will circulate until it goes on until your mother send it back to you. Say, hey, hey, how you got it? How you got it? So some friend lah. Then I say yes. It works. It went one round. No, my mother sent it to me. Say, have you watched this? I say yes, mom. It's from me. So yeah. That's how I see the magic of using various platforms for various strategy, in fact.
Okay, great. WhatsApp, I tak pernah. I never thought of it actually. Wow, okay. Usually it's just YouTube. What I feel is like YouTube, Instagram. But WhatsApp tak pernah. Interesting. Okay, another note to my editor. Okay, Justin, what kind of platform do you use for your films?
Depends on our objective of the film actually, the target audience and stuff like that. For our films, we usually produce more towards broadcast format, like 52 minutes, half an hour slots. So unless it's a passion project, we will upload into YouTube. Other than that, we will usually seek for broadcasters, OTT platforms like iFlix, Netflix, and stuff like that.
Okay.
And also Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Festival.
Alamak.
Yeah. Okay. KLEFF also. Must say.
I baru nak sound Andrew. Excuse me. Got mention us or not? Okay. Thank you so much. All right. This question is for both Evelyn and Andrew. So, I because Andrew, you mentioned about YouTube, and I think another platform that we would think would be TikTok, which is something. This is not what I say, but this is based on my observation and what people tell me. It's the Gen Z platform. They usually use TikToks, and I think I also saw on Instagram reels that take from TikTok. There's so many like really short videos, like in less than 30-50 seconds, which I use to educate people about all sort of topics, be it on health, COVID-19, sustainability, environment. So what's your take on all this really, this so-called Gen Z or in-trend platforms such as TikTok, Instagram Reels? Evelyn, maybe you want to share some?
Thanks, Nabila.
Can I say something that both actually discussed over this over and over again? Sometimes boleh gaduh tau.
Oh, please, by all means, go on. you want to
bringing our domestic issue to public. Yeah, you want to share what, Andrew?
No, I say let Evelyn share first because she actually got into social media much earlier than me. TikTok, Instagram, and many more.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say that I'm the Gen Z between our relationship. But we're not Gen Z. I think we are millennials. I think I'm millennials, but bordering I identify more with Gen Z people. So having said that, after much hesitation, this year I signed up for TikTok, an account in TikTok. And of course, people in my generation are not there. They are like, okay, there are silly challenges and dance videos. There's nothing there to watch. But interestingly, as you said, Nabila, you see a lot of TikTok contents being imported into Instagram Reels and all that. I mean, in fact, Instagram Reels only came out recently to sort of fight TikTok. So from there, I actually saw there was a lot of activism short videos. They are very impactful. And I think the way they deliver messages are so compact and concise and so engaging, so creative. So it's like there must be more where it came from. So I signed up for TikTok. And the more I went into it, and after you like a few things, you follow a few people, your algorithm suits you, and then you start to find very good contents. And I do think I'm on the side where I think TikTok is the communication platform of preference for the new generation. And it's also a generation that consumes things in a very bite-sized manner. If we last time we will read long form articles, about environment and things like that. But nowadays people just want it like 50 seconds, 33 minutes, that sort of thing. You can't get your message across in such a short time. That means you're a poor communicator. So I think we do need to evolve the way we engage with the younger generation, and things are moving fairly very quickly. And I think more people should get on this platform. I mean, of course, it's a rabbit hole. So you need to be very disciplined on what you want to, you can end up doom scrolling and all that. So you have to be very disciplined on what your purpose on TikTok is about. But for filmmakers, I think it's a good way for you to put in snippets of your film and get people to engage you from there. And you can always interact with them in the comment section. And I see a few YouTuber filmmakers are already doing that. They take 1 minute to 2 minute kind of snippets from their original YouTube videos and then link it back. So it's just to reach out to that pool of people who normally do not spend time in YouTube anymore.
All right. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I can see actually how prominent TikTok is. All these really short videos, especially for audience with short attention span. The time is like lepas 5 minutes dah tutup. They cannot watch anymore. And I'm also amazed by some TikTok's videos whereby in a very short period of time they can squeeze in a lot of facts in it. And I agree with your point when you say it will question or it will test how effective our communication is. The words that we use, the creative side, which is something I think KLEFF should come out a TikTok competition. That I'll wait for my director to after he watches this, then he will after he watches this, he'll say, Nabila, what's this? Okay.
Andrew's curious. Let's hear his
okay, come on, Andrew's side.
So first of all, you all cannot promote TikTok in this podcast because it's promotion of product already, right? So you cannot.
We need
the asset shall not be named TT.
TT.
No, I signed up with TikTok. I think about 2 months ago. I'm still learning, and I guess that there are the pros and cons towards these things. Are like what Evelyn just mentioned, is that there's a lot of information in there, and then the algorithm, I don't understand that too. There is until TikTok comes to a point where they can safeguard filmmakers' rights, content creators' rights, then I will consider the whole idea of putting it the content in there. Of course, I agree with the fact that it is a way to advocate and come up with issue, putting in TikTok and so on. But you also are at the mercy of everyone over there. If your thing doesn't go viral, then it just dies off and so on, you see. So yeah, we have to, again, all these platforms need to use strategically, right? You want use TikTok, then make sure you have a solid plan what you want to put in there and so on, Twitter, whatever. So far, I haven't found any success rate for myself to put any content in there. In fact, until now, looking for content is all by stumbling upon. And who is controlling this algorithm, right? I'm a bit skeptical on how far it can go. I mean, I'm kind of worried that it could be a waste of time. I create a content, put it in there, and then it just disappear immediately. So we have to wait for a while, and until there's a research paper. I'm not sure whether there's any research paper on this, communications students. Yeah. Then you let me know. I'm ready to be convinced to use that as a platform.
Another academic task for us. Okay. Which brings me to my next question, because what I see from your sharings, You mentioned about WhatsApp being used by the communities. I'm sure other stakeholders also would have different kinds of communication platform, especially if you want it to be an effective communication platform. So maybe for the corporate agencies that, Justin, you've been working with quite a number of corporate companies in terms of firms, what are the platforms that you feel it's going to be very beneficial for their employees, or even maybe we can extend to their customers or their clients?
Corporate clients, I have not seen them editing small bites in TikTok yet. Yeah, most likely they use it a lot of in their own internal presentations. I think mostly are produced for conferences where they have policymakers, they have these guys attending in the conferences, and then each of the companies will showcase their impact projects, right? For us also, we should not get left out for this kind of trendy platforms. I myself, even my team, we have not produced contents for TikTok, but we believe that, like Andrew said, we have a proper strategy. We will still produce a long format documentary, but we will take certain parts of it and re-edit for a different audience, because this will also allow us to reach out it's a wider age group, you see. I think TikTok has a different group, for us to just show them the long form, it's going to be a challenge, but we will rather cut the scenes or something like that to put it up and start the conversation with them, right? What is this? Yeah. Then eventually it will lead to the film. Hopefully we converting them back to the longer form films. Yeah. So for corporate companies, a lot of them, they are still using platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, I think because it's part of their organization's practice. Yeah, they use this kind of platforms to showcase their work.
That's true. Yeah, I remember they requested, like when we want to do film screening for corporate as well, they requested to use Vimeo because of like security, they're fastidious. But you catch, I think there's one point that is also related to what Evelyn said just now, like cutting different scenes or the content, the important content. So for Evelyn, like would that be the same method for, let's say, policymakers or even policy analysts? What would be the best platform for them to learn more about the issues via films?
I think for policymakers, it's an active engagement. So the person who creates the film needs to lobby for the causes that they are fighting for, and then bring that film to the policymakers and have a continuous discussion. I think it's less likely you'll have an impact if you put it on TikTok or YouTube and hope that policymakers will go and watch it. Even if you provide them the link, you don't know if they're watching it or not, because they have like tons of things to do, right? And it's just adding one more thing. So I think having a film in your arsenal as one of the things that you bring forward is a very impactful one, where you can tell a lot of story and dimension in maybe a 10-minute film than you would in a 10-page of a white paper. So that's what I feel that is more impactful when you have both. Like you have a paper, which is more of the dry policy stuff, but also you have a film that showcases the people on the ground, the lived reality that often policymakers don't have the chance to get down to really witness it for themselves. So you bring that to them. So it's in a way an advocacy material that you need to engage with policymakers actively, not just putting it somewhere and then hoping they might watch it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe perhaps have even curation sessions as well, whereby there's some discussions after they watch the film. We have some discussions. Perhaps that would also maybe help them.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So we're done with questions for segment 2. It's time for games. Mini game. It's going to be a 10-second game whereby I'm going to ask a question and each of you will need to provide the answers. You have 10 seconds to think about your answers, and then let's go with the sequence. I'm just going to sort of like standardize it across all questions. But anybody would like to volunteer to be the first person to answer?
I think we should start with alphabetical order.
Wow!
No way, what is this?
He's gonna be the last one.
Says the person who has changed his name.
Depends on the question lah.
Okay lah. Alamak, I feel bad now.
Okay. I answer.
Yes, thank you.
Volunteer. Thank you.
Justin.
I'll do a second one.
Because I know he's aiming to be the last one. Justin second, and then Evelyn third. Okay, so we standardize across this. I'll give you guys 10 seconds to think of it. We have originally 6 questions, but then the editor came in and he threw a paper at me and asked me to ask another question. I'll consider it. Let's go with my questions first. Okay, first question. All right. Of course, it's not going to be tepat 10 seconds. I will probably give 50 seconds. What is your go-to platform to share your films with people? What is your go-to platform to share your films with people? In 10 seconds. And
Facebook.
okay, nice. Facebook. Justin?
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay. Evelyn?
Twitter.
Okay, I was expecting TikTok actually.
TikTok didn't
Okay,
pay
even
me
the
for that.
director was like, TikTok. Okay, second question. This is a yes and no question. Would you recommend people to experience and watch films in film festivals, whether they are physical or digital? I think this is 5 seconds.
Yes.
Okay, Justin?
Yes, physical.
Okay, physical. Okay, Evelyn?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Evelyn, please come for KLEFF. Shamelessly promoting KLEFF and also other film festivals. There's so many. Okay. Third question. Name your favorite film festival. Do not be pressured. It does not have to be KLEFF. So, in 10 seconds.
Hey, trick question
Oh.
Get out now.
No. Come on, I don't discriminate.
You should say favorite festival except KLEFF. Then I will answer.
Oh my goodness. Okay lah, name your favorite film festival except KLEFF. I guess KLEFF is your favorite, right? Okay, name your favorite film festival except KLEFF.
International Leipzig Documentary Festival.
All
in
right,
Germany.
great.
Yeah.
Leipzig.
Yeah.
Internationally is Jackson Wow Film Festival.
Oh, where's that one? What's that festival at?
It's in US, in the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, nice. Evelyn?
I'm gonna break the rule and say KLEFF and
Yes!
Film Festival.
Well, that's why I said internationally.
Because
So if it's
both of them were like internationally.
Both of them are international.
I was like, in my mind, locally leh.
locally, they have no choice except KLEFF.
Don't do that.
Oh,
There's
really?
so many other film festivals.
Yeah.
But I like it. I mean, both of you shared 2 different film festivals that other people can also check out the film festivals as well. So we got to support each other here. Okay. The 4th question. First sustainability film in mind that you would recommend to people. Does not have to be environment. I mean, does not have to be limited to environment. Anything as long as it's a sustainability film. All right. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Andrew.
Islands of Faith. Chirunisa. Yeah.
Islands of Faith. All right. Justin?
Mine, the films that really impacted me this year is My Octopus Teacher.
My Octopus Teacher?
Yes.
Wow.
What Namala you take?
What do you think?
Evelyn?
Cannot tahan. It's not film, but I really like the series on titled Rotten on Netflix. So something that people can watch. It's a very good documentary on our food systems, and it will blow your mind.
Okay, that's going to be next in my Netflix punya bucket list. I'm going to force my film festival director to watch that too. Okay, a few more questions to go. This one, editor punya impromptu question. It's going to be a bit controversial. Now, good. Which one is more of an important Gen Z platform? content like TikTok, or films or cinemas, which they have a lot more cinematography values. So TikTok or like our usual ways, films, cinemas, film festivals. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7. Andrew thinking very hard already.
Yeah,
6,
same here.
5,
Oh, no.
4, 3, 2, 1. Go, Andrew.
TikTok lah.
We've got an agreement here already, Evelyn. Okay, Justin.
I really don't know. I think there are Gen Z which appreciate Netflix as well. So since Andrew picked TikTok, I'll pick Netflix.
Okay, all right. Evelyn?
I would go for TikTok as Gen Z. But I picked that only because we want to reach to those who are not reached yet. Because if I say Twitter, most of them are already, we're preaching to the choir if you're talking about Twitter. So if you want to reach out to people who don't know the issue, then TikTok would be it.
Yep. All right. Good point. Okay. Last question. Words of wisdom or encouragement to KLEFF and all the other film festivals and filmmakers in less than 10 words. Very short words of wisdom or encouragement. In 10 seconds. 10, 9.
Sorry, I lost your question again.
Words of wisdom or encouragement to KLEFF, other film festivals, and also basically all the filmmakers. You can also say 加油 only in less than 10 words, all right? Okay, Andrew.
Very hard lah.
Okay, imagine you're giving me words of encouragement lah.
Okay. Continue to blow the minds of people with more environmental and sustainable film. Yeah.
Wow, nice. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, how about you, Justin?
Stay curious and keep exploring.
Nice. Yeah. Stay curious and keep exploring. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, Evelyn?
Is finding your tribe or your network and pressing on when the going gets tough.
It's a good advice for us during the COVID-19 tough times for all of us. All right, thank you so much for your words of wisdom and encouragement, and thanks for participating in this mini game. So we're done with our second segment, and we're going to move on to our third segment in a short while after our break. So see you guys folks later. Thanks. KnightWatch Media is KnightWatch's media production house that aims to popularize the concept of sustainability and make it easier to understand by creating quality content using effective communication tools and strategic digital media tactics. Through KnightWatch Media, KnightWatch strives to design and deliver thought-provoking content around climate change-related issues to inspire individuals, communities, and governments to take action. We offer video and podcast production, copywriting services such as news articles, press releases, proofreading and translation, social media posts and campaigns, website development, and many more. All right. Welcome back, folks, to our very last segment of the podcast with our three guests, Justin, Evelyn, and Andrew. Now, for this last segment, we're going to talk more about documentaries. And I have a question for both Justin and Andrew. Basically, it might be a tricky question because I'm going to sort of like create a mini battle between documentary films versus entertainment films. So what are the strong points that you can see in some of the documentaries whereby they not only serve as an educational tool, but also as a form of entertainment, outreach, or basically informative tool? So let's start with Justin.
My thoughts on an educational tool. My perspective, especially nowadays, current trend, I think my perspective, point of view of a filmmaker here is that I usually will produce films that is, I let the audience get connected with the character first. Whether it's the subject matter, whether it's through stunning visuals or usually I will use a lot of techniques stunning visuals first. Then only we will park the conservation message, at the end, right?
Yeah.
To make them miss the character again. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those are my thoughts in this perspective.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Justine. How about you, Andrew?
I just want to clarify in terms of the question you're asking is how is documentary films can be made more in competing with entertainment films as well, is it? Is that what you
You can actually touch on that because my question was actually if you see any strong points for in documentary to sort of upskill and upgrade themselves to be on the same par as entertainment fields that reach out to so many people. But if you have also tips on what are the things that can be improved, by all means, please share.
Okay.
Because I think Justin also he shared some tips to sort of improve the films as well.
All right. Okay, good. I guess to a certain extent, as a documentary filmmaker, I think there not only film festival like KLEFF and or film festival allow documentary film to be shown, so that it also educate new audience. Because you must know audience, right? Some people, like for myself, I like to watch documentaries, so I watch documentaries itself. Some people like horror film and things like that, or reality TV and so on. So how do we expand the peminat, people who like documentary films in that sense? So film festival like this can actually grow the follower. I think in this point also to let people see the value of documentary films are not just as a tool, but I think from policy point of view, how the government can actually work together in these things. You see, in other places, people actually pay to watch documentary films, right? And there is actually a platform for that. And I think Malaysia, if they seriously want to expand the documentary industry to commercially and also from an artistic expression, is to create a platform, which means I think a proper TV channel should be available. I remember when the new government took over back in 2018, there was a proposal for a RTM branch out for a channel that shows only documentary films, and I was very excited about it. And the minister was planning to do that. I said, yes, this is a great opportunity for independent filmmakers like me to submit films to be shown nationally. And this is good because I can never show my films in Netflix because Netflix requirements are very demanding, and I can't do that. So if RTM can do that, it supports local filmmakers like myself. So that's how it can improve documentary films itself.
That's interesting because I guess from what I catch is that it not only boils down to the filmmakers' own effort, we also need support from different platforms, different people as well to help us sort of upgrade, bring up our local films, our local documentaries. Okay, that's great. And my second question, because this is again regarding documentary films and entertainment films. People used to have this impression documentaries are boring, dull. But I don't remember. I mean, National Geographic films, documentaries are always really nice for me. However, I usually get this feedback from audiences. They will want to have more exciting films that is more inclined towards entertainment rather than just our documentary. However, for the past 5 years, I mean, from my experience in KLEFF, I can see that the documentaries have started to evolve. There's a lot of creative side, different mergence of whatever filmmaking tools to just make it, not look like an ordinary documentary film anymore. So let's go to documentary films in Malaysia. Do you think documentary films, our local documentary films, would probably have that same kind of impact to audiences, the same kind of impact as entertainment film, from documentary films from the past 5 years, not the ones in the past lah. So any thoughts about this from both Evelyn and also Andrew?
Yeah, I think there are opportunity in that sense. I think if you want to be competing with other entertainment films as well, I think filmmakers need to come up with much more compelling stories. When I talk about that, I think stories which is very hard-hitting, sensitive. I won't say controversial, but actually create people to think about these things, isn't it? Like the issues of climate change, some people still deny it and so on. So how do we address that? How about for example, if you want to talk about the issues of pollution in Penang, then we have to do more investigative documentary and name and shame these people. But we know the repercussion out of this, because when we make films like this, whether the government will or those in high authority will recognize it, or in other way to whether they're going to support it, and if they don't, are they going to make you get into trouble and things like that? So there is always the fear from filmmaker: are we doing the right thing? Are we saying the right thing? Are we protected at the end of the day? Yes, we can come up with much more compelling stories like this, but are we protected after that?
Yeah, that's true, and that requires a lot of support from even audiences themselves, because if they do appreciate the content or the compelling stories that the filmmakers come out with, that would actually create some kind of protection for us. Like for me in environmental pun sama. If my friends all protect me, then I feel safer actually. Okay, what about Evelyn? How about you? What do you think? Whether go on, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll just detail what Andrew had said earlier. And also documentary film doesn't necessarily have to be boring. Boring is the default. But of course, you need to look at ways you tell a story and put your mind into a filmmaker's shoe when they make a Hollywood story. What is the character arc? What is the transition of the story? What is the the mission of the character that you put in front of how you get people invested in the story and feel for that character. So I think character driven is very important, whether it's a person or an animal. So sometimes people, like my octopus teacher, is a mix of both.
My octopus.
A mix of both human interaction with the animal. And I grew very invested with how the octopus was doing. So it's really about it's really the power of the storytelling, really. Even with the purely entertainment films as well, it's about storytelling. They may have a very good character. Let's say if you give Marvel story to a boring person, he will make it fail also, because it's just the power of storytelling. You can tell a very boring story, or you can make a very engaging one. So I think for filmmakers, it's just experimenting with different ways to make the audience feel for you, for your character, for your story. And of course, these things people have heard over and over again. So it's just an art that we need to continue to hone and get better over time. Get feedback from people, even though it's sometimes hard to hear, but people give you critical feedback. I think there's some value in it as well. So it's just like a continuous growth from Malaysian filmmaking industry. And I think the way we Asians tell story also is quite different. It can be funny. It can be, something that we can relate to, and we don't necessarily have to gauge ourselves from the mainstream production from the West. They have their own typecast and the way they unfold the story. But I think once we dig deeper into our origin of ourselves, and I think there's a lot of value in that, and it won't be boring. I don't think so.
That's true. We have our own stories to tell, actually. Yeah. All right. Great. So that's about it. That's the questions I have for the last segment. And thank you very much. I have to actually go to the closing segment. I usually don't do this for podcasts, but so anyway, thank you so much to all three of you, Andrew, Evelyn, and Justin. Before I wrap up the whole session, maybe you might have one or two words, like final say, any word of advice or something that you want to share about your firms, or hint social media to promote yourself and ask for collaborations. Yeah, you can start. Perhaps maybe Justin, would you want to start first, and then Andrew and Evelyn? Yeah.
I think firstly, thanks for having me here, Nabila and team. It is and secondly, I think for word of advice, the same thing I will usually keep it to my own creator as well. just stay curious and keep on exploring, finding new stories. This year we are my team and I, we are working on embarking on another natural history documentary already, right? And scheduled to shoot next year, because despite we in Kuala Lumpur we still have MCO, right? We're still on the phase 1, so we will take this opportunity to work on pre-production planning, location scouting and things like that. Hopefully we'll able to produce some nice film for you guys to watch the following year.
Wow. So many things to look forward now. Okay. All right. Thanks, Justin. And his team is SCM Asia, so you guys can check out SCM Asia. Okay, now you can pay me 10 ringgit for promoting me. All right, Andrew.
I always look forward for collaboration. So if anyone will hearing this and you're coming to Penang and then you want to do some documentary films, or even Justin as well, you want to come do some natural history in Penang, there's a lot we do to do a project together.
Yes.
But those of you hearing this in Penang want to do some documentary activism project, yes, I'm always available and look forward to collaborate these things with you all. I think working together in such industry is the best way to go forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. May I share your Facebook, boleh kah? In case they want to contact you.
Can. Yes.
How can they contact you actually?
Well, I have a Facebook a page called Pulau Parasite. You can always go there and check it out. I do from time to time update my work in there as well. So
How do we spell parasite?
Pulau Parasit.
Malay parasite,
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 okay. P-A-R-A-S-I-T,
correct.
Okay.
Yes. So guys, check out Pulau Parasit. You can connect with Andrew, especially in terms of anything, with Penang. Andrew's always there. Okay, lastly, Evelyn.
Thanks, Kabila. I think finally I would just say for audiences who are watching, no matter which background you're from, please support your local filmmakers, amplify their work, go for screenings, film festivals, whether online or physically, because you'll never know what kind of stories is going to change your mind or who we're going to meet there. And really it's going to be life-changing, because documentaries are reality, story of life, and it really gives you a really perspective of reality that you may not have considered before. So please support your local filmmakers.
Yeah, great, nice. Is there any way for people to contact you or anything, keep in touch with you?
Yeah, I'll be happy to get in touch via Twitter. I'm most active there. My handle is EVELAYN, Evelyn. So yeah, let's connect over there.
All right, thank you so much. So anyone who would like to also connect with Evelyn, you can always be in touch with her. She's really good. And so same goes for Andrew and Justin. So thank you so much to the three of you for joining me in this podcast under the Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Fest. Thank you so much to KnightWatch Media. Thank you very much, editor, director, producer. And for all of you, Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Festival, aka KLEFF, will be held from the 24th of October till 30th of October. Will be available on 3 platforms. First platform will be in IGEM, where we are now. You can go to our booth under EcoNights, ECOKNIGHTS. There will be a couple of film screening sessions over there. We'll be also at Dubai as well, the Dubai Expo. So this is more towards the international viewers. You can actually watch in Dubai Expo. It's also on 24th to 30th of October. And then finally, our very own local platform, which is KLEFFlix, KLEFFLIX, KLEFF version of Netflix, iFlix. You can also join KLEFFlix and you can watch the festivals between 24th to 30th of October. We've got tons of very good films, quite a good amount of local films as well in KLEFF after this. So we look forward to you guys in our festival. Please support our filmmakers over here and also the rest of our filmmakers. There's a lot of film festivals besides KLEFF that you all should go and support and watch. And everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, Make sure you go through vaccination as well. And let's all pray for a better future and a healthier society. So thank you very much. Bye everyone. Take care. Bye.